Hello Raindrops, welcome to Government Minute. Minutes that matter. I'm Mr. A, asking you to take care of those big three right now. Like and share this video, subscribe to our channel, and click on that notification bell so you know when our videos come out. As always, this video is dedicated to the glory of God who blessed this land. After a week's vacation, we come back to our founding fathers who've just declared independence. And when they declared independence, there's not one independent nation. There are 13 independent nations. Yes, each state is an independent nation with their own state constitutions or their charters, which they will later turn into a constitution. Saying you're independent and being independent are two totally different things. For example, the 18-year-old. I'm an adult now. Mom and Dad, I can make my own decisions. Mom and Dad, I may ask for your advice, but I don't need to because I'm an adult now. I can handle my own affairs. I don't need your input. I really don't need you. But can I borrow $10 for gas till payday? Being independent is quite different than just saying you're independent. So our 13 states, 13 nations, are now independent. And they have some things in common, like a dislike and distrust of the British. There's always this fear of the Native Americans or the Indians. There is always a fear of another nation trying to come in and take over. And so they do have some things in common that they need to take care of. And while the Second Continental Congress was in charge during the Revolution, it did not rest on a constitutional basis. There was no legal framework for a national government. So our founding fathers came up with our first true national government. It was organized under a plan called the Articles of Confederation. Remember, we defined a confederation as an alliance of independent states that expressly delegates certain limited powers to a central government. So our first national government was a confederation. The Articles of Confederation was our first attempt at a national government, and we have to look at the intent of our founding fathers. We have to look at the structure that they left us. What was their meaning? What were they trying to do? And if your boss said you could come up with any contract you want, you'd make it exactly as you want it. Our founding fathers came up with the Articles of Confederation and made it exactly how they wanted it. So limited, so limiting on the central government that it was ineffective. Now, if our original intent, if the founding fathers' original intent was a very limited government, what would they think of our government today? So let's talk about the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation drew heavily from the state constitutions. All 13 state constitutions had four common features. Popular sovereignty, the people have the power. Limited government, government cannot and should not do everything. Civil rights and liberties, as stated in the Declaration of Independence. All men are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. And separation of powers and checks and balances. Once again, not to overstate this, scared to death of a strong central government. So they separated powers and built in checks and balances so one branch could stop the others. And so the Articles of Confederation included that in the Articles. And here is how it was set up. Under the Articles of Confederation, there was a unicameral legislature, one house. All states, no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter how wealthy, no matter how poor, no matter how populated, no matter how sparsely populated, were equally represented. There was no executive or judicial branch of government to take care of things. Those were handled by committees of Congress. States agreed to obey the acts of Congress, and states agreed to supply the funds and troops needed by the new national government. On that last point, they never came close. After the Revolutionary War, states had to rebuild their own economy, their own infrastructure, and so their men and their money was needed back home. And so this Articles of Confederation was our first attempt at a national government. Next time we'll talk about the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation and why it didn't work. It was so limited that it didn't work. It was so limiting that it didn't work. Compare that to what we have today, the way our government behaves and acts today. And you'll see we're far away from our founders' intentions. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you paid attention because there will be a test at the next election. I'm Mr. A, reminding you that we, the people, are the government. We'll see you next time.